Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome back to the bi-monthly podcast that I do for the Nerds Are Us channel. The box set. Whoop, whoop. Normally, I know that I do the animation ones. I can't remember what one I said I was going to do next, so I'm no longer pigeonholing myself into a box, okay? That's the smartest decision I think we've done. What we are going to do, though, is we're going to talk about the good, the bad, the absolute shitty, supernatural. I think that's the best way to introduce it. Joining me is my co-host on Nerds Are Us, Foxy, with his beautiful partner Anya. Whoop whoop. Oh, and then Neil. Jonathan couldn't be arsed to turn up, so we got an upgrade.
As I get usually. Yeah. Well, yeah. Jonathan,
we got a Jonathan upgrade.
He's
about. Are you joining us? I'm curious. Are you joining us from the Monday Madness channel?
I think so. I think I'm on on my own.
Oh, lads, it's a crossover episode.
Finally. Hey,
we'll actually be discussing.
That would be a very good next animated show for you to do, which would be BoJack.
All we need now is a bottle episode and a beach episode, and we're good.
We'll have to make do with a crossover episode with Scooby-Doo. Is everyone okay with that? Use laugh. I'm not kidding.
No,
there's a crossover animated episode of Scooby-Doo. I want to talk about it. I very briefly want to talk about it. But yeah, so what we're going to discuss tonight, this evening, is Supernatural, which was basically the Winchester brothers saving people, hunting things. It was the family business. Before we started recording, however, we all had to make a very, very quick admission to each other and who actually watched the entirety of the 15 seasons, who skimmed through it, and who gave up halfway through. Absolutely none of us managed to make it all the way through. I think I am actually at the closest because I skimmed through most of them, bar one season, because I downloaded a shitty file for it. But I think together with the four of us, we do have a complete knowledge and understanding of what happened, and one of us did watch the final episode and cried for everyone here. So guess which one it was. So yeah, so we're ready to go on it. So we were briefly talking about it beforehand, kind of like about the show, and we were talking about a few of the characters in it, but what actually, like, this started in 2005, right? So I'm nearly sure, Neil, you're also 30, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, so we were all 15-year-olds, angst 15-year-old emo goth punks. So I'm assuming that. Okay.
All right. Look, in 2005, I was 17. Fuck off.
Okay. All right, so me and Foxy were 15 then. Yeah. Okay. So we were all still angsty teenagers. So what were you? So did you actually watch the shows when it started in 2005? Did you just come in late?
No, I came in late.
About season 3, season 4.
No, I watched from the first episode, but I didn't watch it when it aired. I watched it a few months later after it aired, you know?
Yeah.
I got into it in and around about 2009, so maybe about season 5 I dropped in because you couldn't get the CW, the network it was on. I couldn't get it, and I only got it, funnily enough, when I actually wound up moving to North America, to, funnily enough, Vancouver, where it was shot.
Vancouver's lovely.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, actually. Actually, once or twice it was, because all of the forestry scenes are shot in Stanley Park, and I lived near there. So whenever I went for runs, every now and again, I'd get stopped by this production assistant waving in front of me because I'd have my headphones on, and she'd be waving in front of me so I didn't run into a shot.
There's an angel versing a demon right now. You kind of got to hold off, okay? Yeah. Right. So, there's a moose. A moose is going to run through.
Exactly, so that was quite good. It did have some advantages of actually having seen the Impala in person, because they would drive it.
I love the Impala.
So yeah, it's a sexy car.
That is honestly, I used to have this weird obsession with like Vanishing Point, the movie Vanishing Point. I always wanted to get a Dodge. I wanted to get that fucking white Dodge with the black racing stripe, and then Soundgarden also had or not. Was it Soundgarden? Was it just Chris? No, it was just Chris Cornell. Actually, I think he did like basically a Vanishing Point music video. I can't think what the song is, and it's going to annoy me. And I was like, oh, I want this car. It's a piece of shit. A Dodge for a Dodge it is, but I wanted that car. And then I watched Supernatural, and I went, oh no, I want a 1967 Chevy Impala. I just thought it was a beautiful looking car.
Yes.
I just think it is a baby. Like Dean is right when he calls it baby. It's a beautiful, beautiful car.
It's a very aggressive sounding car. Like,
I'm not surprised. That was done intentionally.
Yeah, it is a car. It is a car that next to you at the lights. You hit the door locks.
Yeah, that's me and you reading the exact same thing.
No.
Did you go into IMDb?
No, I remember seeing that on the interview because he does say that. He's like, yeah, it's just a really harsh metal, very harsh muscle car.
I think that's gas. I went onto IMDb because I was like, I knew there was a certain fact that the Impala wasn't originally the car they wanted, and they wanted to get a Mustang. Was originally the car that they wanted for it. They wanted to get a 1965 Mustang, Ford Mustang for it, and someone had said, nah, you want a black 1967 Chevy Impala, and they were like, why? And he goes, because when that car drives up, you lock your doors, because it gives, and it also has like the police spotlights on the front on the headlights as well, so it is a very intimidating looking vehicle. Although, to be honest with you, if I ever saw anyone driving that now
as well,
it is.
It was its own character in itself.
It's a unique car. Like, people don't drive that, you know.
No. Like if you,
I mean, so much so
you see that you stop
just from the car's perspective.
Yeah, it's
like, how crazy is that?
Do you know what thing? See, this is the thing that I really genuinely liked about Supernatural though as well. This was a series that catered to its fans, and it didn't really give a shit about anyone else. Yeah. So the fan base that Supernatural had, well, still does have. Women are cray, but like the fan base that they have, like everything was kind of catered towards them. They knew they weren't going to be an Emmy nominated show. They were always in the People's Choice categories. They were always in the Teen Choice categories, and they were like, all right, this is our target audience. So we're like, this is the audience that we have. This is the demographic we have. We're just going to cater to them, and they did that really well. So like, especially with kind of like theories that people came up with on the internet, like that fans would like throw out. The actors themselves are very they're very approachable on their social medias. Misha Collins is who plays Castiel. He is very, very approachable. He loves the interactions with fans, and
they will tweet like during the shows. Sometimes if you were watching it live and you had like, if you followed him on Twitter, you would get
he'd be live tweeting the shows like when it aired. Like the whole thing. And when they were shooting the shows, on the set, if they're shooting the show on the set, he would constantly, he'd be taking photos of everything.
You know, the episode that where they go
French Mistake.
Yeah, they go into the real world, and it's like a set, and they're going around, and they're all
he's like running there like this.
Yeah. If you follow
you guys, this is another prank.
If you followed him, apparently you got he was sending them for real. So apparently, if you were following him, you got those.
Yeah, he That's
brilliant.
This is the thing, it's so funny though as well, because like this is the thing I was asking is if you've ever seen any of the videos of the fan conventions, and the fan convention used to be held in Rome yearly, and it was always called Justin Bello, and it was held in Rome, and it was set up by a fan of the show set up a convention, and the entire cast went to it. They were like, fuck it, yeah, we'll go. She like said if they'd be interested in doing it, and they did it one year, and then it was such a success they went back every single year. It started after season 3, but they went back consecutively after every year to the same place in Rome. The same woman would run it, and it was always the fans, like, not the same fans, but the lads would, like, anytime they were doing like a Q&A, it would always be Misha and Jared together on the Q&A, and it would be like, oh, what was it like coming onto the set, like with the two guys since you came in on series 4? And Misha would be like, they like to prank everyone. This is a set where if they're not pranking you, you're nervous because you think you've done something wrong. Like you can't, like I don't think any show you go on to, the main actors are constantly trying to make you blub your lines or kick you or punch you or literally just make your life a living hell on the set. But this is what the lads did, and if they weren't doing it to you, they didn't like you. Which I
Yeah,
just think is like,
quite like the blooper reels on all
I
the
love the
DVDs.
blooper.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, the bloopers are
I'd always watch them. I'd just sit there looking at them, going, "These guys are dicks."
And they're very open to admit it, and they do admit it an awful lot on it. But they're like lads. You're like,
the early season bloopers of it, like Sam with the smolder.
Yeah.
Like every couple of minutes, it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, if they're ever walking by each other, Sam and Dean, if they're ever walking by, there's always the kind of the over the shoulder look, and just the cameraman, I'd say, is just sitting there going, "Fuck's sake, lads, you got the line right. All you have to do is walk by each other."
This is, do you know what they implemented in doing on the set? They implemented a rule and goes 3 takes and that's it. So you can fuck up 2 takes, but you have to do one of them straight, and we will let you do whatever you want then, because they actually said that they love, one of their favorite things to do was the gag reel. And I think Jared was always like, I'm always raging it was never a 2-hour gag reel, because it could have been with the amount of shit that we did on set. So it's like, that's the type of environment that you're moving into. And I was like, oh, I'd love to work in an environment like that. I sort of work in an environment like that, but like if I pull a prank, I get called into HR. I'm not like, kudos to you. Well done for getting me. All right, let's do it again, but like do it straight this time. So go. So going into, I want to talk about this. So we all kind of, we knew of the show maybe a couple of years afterwards, but like we all still got into it. What's like your first impression of the show on this one? So I like a show called Supernatural, and okay, these are 2 brothers and they're hunting monsters. Okay, granted they're looking for their dad. All right, we'll leave John for a minute. I love the idea of like 2 ghosts, like the Ghostbusters, but like real Ghostbusters sort of thing. Not Dan Aykroyd, not like trying to get a grant, but like literally just traveling the country and finding out that this shit is real. What was like your favorite, if you have one, like your favorite kind of myth that they took on in like the earlier seasons? Because it got between 1 and 3, they mainly dealt with like myths.
The Wendigo, which is
I
the
love the
second
Wendigo.
episode.
Yeah,
I
like the Wendigo.
absolutely love that shit. Like, it's because the thing is with that one, it may not be completely true. Obviously, it's not completely true, but there is
There's a lot of folklore about it.
Element of realism to it.
Element to that. Like, anytime they ever talk about Wendigos, they do. These theories do actually exist in real life. You know, and there's always,
that's what I love. Yeah,
there's always the possibility, because it would be the idea that if you became a cannibal, you would be completely unhuman. Like, you wouldn't be a human anymore. So it is kind of speculated. It could be real, but it's like it's pushed a bit over the edge, but not too far. And I love that. So cool.
I actually have to admit, I think that's one of my favorite like legends. It just in general, like I getting like when you're watching Supernatural, when they do something on the show, you're kind of like, oh, I'm gonna look into this a little bit more. And then when you actually do, and you find yourself down the rabbit hole on Wikipedia, and you're like, oh my god, 8 different fucking folklore legends come up about what a Wendigo is, and you're like, oh Jesus Christ, is it actually real? I love that. What
my myths, the mythological story or whatever that I quite liked was actually from the first, because I got in at series 5, and that's the series when they started off with the 4 horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
And I really fucking like that. It's also the series that introduced Crowley, who I love.
Mark P. Shepard.
My first one was, is that the guy from Firefly? Because he's in that. Yeah. So yeah, I quite liked the whole, because I didn't really understand the first episode at the time, because obviously I'd not seen any of it. So it's the whole thing about them screwing over Michael, not allowing
locking Lucifer and him in hell. Yeah,
it was the whole sword of Saint Michael, and then Dean realizes, oh, actually Zachariah tricks them.
Yeah.
Because
Kurt Fuller.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, exactly. So it goes in. I was like, "Oh, where's the sword? Where's the sword?" And like, it's actually you, you know. And yeah, I quite liked it. So I didn't really fully understand that until I went back because I'd watched most of the 5th series and went, I should probably get 1 through 4 so I know what I'm fucking looking at.
I need to know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. So then
like the 4 Horsemen is great because like the idea of them being there is amazing because they are the guardians, as they say, and they're really, really powerful characters.
What an intro for Death.
Death.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say Death.
Ever.
He is. I love it. I love everything.
I love the fact that they made him a junk
Death.
food junkie. Like he just loves really shit food.
Yeah. It's like Death heads to Chicago to get a fucking deep base pizza. I'm like,
it's not in that series, but it's one of the future series when Dean has to go and talk to him. He has to bring him like this bacon hot dog.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Death won't talk to him. It's not like gold or anything like that. It's like that.
And his French fries. And
Yeah.
That's
all right.
When he's trying, it is definitely in the later series when he's trying to get rid of he's like trying to get rid of the mark of Cain, and he's like, well, if you can't take it off, you need to kill me. And he's like, all right, well, what snacks have you provided? Tacos. I've got quesadillas. I made it myself. And Death is like, these are good tacos. Yes, I will talk to you. I was like, Death, you are my spirit animal.
I also like the fact they got Titus Welliver to play War.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really, really good. I was upset that he was only in it for like 1 episode. He's only in it for 1.
I think the thing with
that Death is the strongest, but it's not the point. I mean, they're all important characters.
They're so good. I think it's because Death is gonna we all knew Death's gonna be making a few appearances, especially when he's like making the deal, being like, I will give you this, but you fucking owe me. And you're like, well, one of them's definitely gonna die in the next series and be brought back. I can't wait to see which one it is. I love I actually have to admit, I think Death actually is my favorite, but one of my other ones is well, before they realize who he actually is, the trickster.
Yeah,
that's the Incredible Hulk episode, wasn't it?
It was the changing channels and the mystery spot episode. Were two of my favorite episodes because I love Richard. I love him as the trickster. I just think it's just so good because you have this person who just there's this person in the world who just wants to fuck with you, and like like I can pick out of my friends who that person would be. I know exactly who that fucker would be, like in my friends group. But yeah, I think you know who it is as well.
We all have one. We all have.
Yeah, we all have one. Some of us have two. So we all know who that would be. But I also loved, and it was just so stupid because it's so throwaway. But Cupid, their interpretation of Cupid.
Oh yeah, I find it so funny
when he's just like, when they're just like, he just like they summon Cupid and he's just this naked dude just hugging them and they're like, what the hell? And like going to Caspian, like, what the hell is their handshake?
Especially, he's like,
Castiel's like, this is their handshake, and he goes, it's really uncomfortable. It makes everybody uncomfortable. Like when Castiel is like, knows this is uncomfortable type thing to be doing, you've reached a point where, oh, he understands now. Tricksters and Cupid were my favorite ones on it. But I think it's just like the earlier seasons, they did so well with dealing with myth.
Yeah.
I didn't there was one episode with a leprechaun that was fucking terrible because they got the guy.
I didn't say they got it right all the time.
No, they got the guy who played the Doctor in Star Trek Voyager, and he's doing what is very possibly the worst Irish accent I've fucking heard ever.
Have you ever watched the Boondock Saints? Me, I'll show you the worst Irish accent ever.
Yeah. No, I've watched it. I genuinely believe his is worse.
Yeah.
Norman Remus stops using the Irish accent to not even a third into the movie. We're literally 3/4. I don't even know. It's like the first scene in the movie. he loses the accent and he never gets it back until he plays drunk. Then he gets the
That's a
accent.
good thing. That's a good thing that he just went, oh, fuck this. It isn't the worst one though I've ever heard, but it's high up.
There's been some shit ones.
I think its name is Robert Picardo or something like that. I remember he had a weird name for a Star Trek actor. That is his name actually.
Yeah, he does have an odd name. I know.
But in any case, yeah, he was a leprechaun in one of them, and I was like, what? And no, the whole story and the mythology was actually decent. I just couldn't get over the accent. Like, had he hired an Irish actor for that episode, it would have been really fucking good. But as you know, Irish people didn't exist in America until the late 2000s.
Canada. Technically, it's Canada.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We hadn't emigrated to Vancouver yet.
I wouldn't even mind. They could have gotten somebody from Newfoundland to do that, and because apparently people from Newfoundland sound like Irish people. So if you're ever Irish and you're in Canada and somebody calls you a Newfie, it's not a weird slur, but they genuinely think you're from Newfoundland because apparently their accent is quite similar to ours.
Yeah.
Now, I never met anybody from Newfoundland when I was there because I was in Vancouver. I was on the West Coast. But yeah, apparently, yeah.
Drop it when Greece gets trouble.
If you don't like the early seasons, then like Yellow Eyes has to make the appearance.
Azrael.
Yellow Eyes is a good one, yeah.
Like
that
he
was
is
yeah.
a great character that you follow along for what the best part of 2-3 seasons.
The first 2 series was based on Yellow Eyes.
Yeah,
they wanted to get Yellow Eyes. Then my most hated character took over for season 3. No, I actually didn't mind Lilith. Season 3 was, yeah, she was 4th. Bella was the season 3. Season 3 is the one that only had 16 episodes. Thank fuck. Because if I had to deal with that bitch for 23 episodes, I actually would have given up then and there.
Was season 3 Bella? Was that the one he wound up marrying?
No, that was Lisa. Bella was she wasn't a hunter. She was like the scavenger. She was basically ripping them off so she could get the artifacts to sell because she had made a deal with a Crossroads demon, and Lilith was coming to take her by the end of season 3. So she was trying to prolong her life by screwing the boys over constantly. So she stole the cult from them.
Yes. Yeah.
And she was the one that was meant to have sold it onto Crowley.
Oh my god!
Technically,
which is funny because like she went on to go into The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I was about
Lauren
to say,
Cohen. That's who it is. Yes, Lauren Cohen. That's who it is. Yeah, I'm glad. Grant, they can take her. Did she die in The Walking Dead?
No, I think she's
dead.
No, she lasted right till the end.
I fucking hated her so much. I hated that. I just hated that character, and I think it's because
I hated her.
Yeah, she was a fucking cunt.
Yeah.
What does she do?
She just screws the lads over left, right, and centre. She just kept screwing them.
Oh, we're talking about The Walking Dead for a minute. I was like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, sorry, no, she was. So we know what our favorite one is. And I noticed you were saying that you didn't like the leprechaun. Now, just you like the mythology behind it. You just didn't like the accent on it. And we all can see who my least favorite character is on it. But what would yours actually be? Like, what was the worst villain that you had to watch on the show? Like you were just like, oh, fuck off.
Oh, the worst one. Fuck.
The Leviathan.
Dick Roman.
Yeah, him, and then it was after him. It was what's the name of that fucking angel that kept fucking over the boys as well. Gabriel? No.
Gadriel.
Zachariah.
He's the one who said
Zachariah. He's talking about the one that's tricked.
Kurt Fuller. Yes.
Hated him. Absolutely hated him. Because he's a dick in anything that you see him in. He's so good at that.
Yes, actually, I just want to point out, he is the same person that's in No Holds Barred, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, he is a dick and everything.
He's also a police officer in Scary Movie 1.
Yes, he is. He's the one that's like, tell me which photo, which one's sexier.
Yeah.
They're the two that I hate.
Yeah, Zachariah was a prick, all right.
For me, I did hate Zachariah, but I also hated the other one. Do you know the one that was with Castiel before he became friends with Sam and Dean?
Uriel.
Uriel. Fucking hate him.
Oh, he was a fucking dick.
I really disliked
So far, all the
Metatron.
which one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Really,
this is.
it got
I'm
to-
noticing the trend here.
with-
We all
with
hate the
Met-
angels.
I know, but with Metatron, oh no, there's a good couple of the demons I fucking hate as well. But
Yeah.
I'd rather the demons over the angels.
with Metatron, like it was just weird because he would just continuously lie to them, and they would just buy it every time. And I was just like, every time at the start of an episode when he would come in, I'll be like, oh no.
They're all going to be
I'm gonna
fucking fighting with
I'm
each
gonna be
other.
fast forwarding chunks of this. I know it because
Yeah.
it's like, oh yeah, whatever the fuck. I was like, I know his character is the voice of God, but fuck me, you don't have to have him talking all the time.
Yeah.
It's just fucking. Oh, it was so terrible.
As
So
well as
terrible.
that, like, there's a lot of the angels and a lot of the demons are my favorite characters. But the reason I think we hate more the angels than we do the demons is because
They're
the
so
angels have this self-righteous
that
thing about
yeah, it's they're so
better than
full of
everyone.
themselves, and I think
One of them thinks that, like, okay, we're doing God's work, so
they're
we.
of a
This is-
hierarchy.
this is what I was going to say on it. Okay, so this I think was this is the thing I actually really did like about Supernatural as a whole, and it's how it treats the mythology that it's dealing with, because it does actually stick to it really well. So like the names of angels that they have in the show, they are taking from actual, okay, these are in lore for Christian mythology. Like there is an angel Castiel who did literally turn his back on heaven because he literally found, like, they fell in love with the righteous man. Like that is like they stuck to it on that one. Gadriel, who pretends to be Ezekiel, who possesses Sam, he was the angel that apparently let the serpent into heaven that caused everything to go to shit. So he is also a real thing. Metatron was one of the highest seraphim of angels. It's a real thing. So they're all based on an actual, there is a backstory to every single angel that they will bar on it, but like we'll get
I quite liked the episode where Dean and they have to go into heaven. They have this kind of sneak into heaven because it's where they summon the Reapers. I don't know. I think it's like the 9th series, but they've to summon the Reapers and they have to sneak into heaven to talk to Joshua.
Yes.
Because they're trying to contact God, and Joshua can speak to God. He's the only angel who can.
He's just pruning a tree.
And they get to him, and he's just there pruning plants, and they're like, okay, then, well, you know, has God been hearing us? Has God been listening? He's like, yeah, he has. He just doesn't think it's his problem.
That's the thing I love. See, this is the thing I love. But this is the thing I love about it so much is because they go back to it. But they go back to this as well. So when you find out, like, so when it is discovered that Chuck is actually God,
Yeah.
and he's like, yeah, I'm kind of bored with yous. I'm bored with you now because you haven't been doing things the way I initially planned you to do it. And he's like a spoilt child. I'm just going to get rid of it.
He goes back to writer Chuck. Because remember, initially...
It's back and forth. Yeah, they do it back and forth.
Chuck was initially a prophet.
Yes.
And the thing about prophets is that they would complete gospels. And Chuck was writing the gospel of the Winchesters.
Which I love as well.
The instant he completed it, then he vanishes, he disappears,
Yeah.
and then when he comes back into it, God has decided, oh, I'll take this form.
Yeah.
You know, that leads the way for Kevin Tran to come in as the other one, who's probably the most abused prophet in fucking history.
Did you see what happened to Donatello?
but Kevin, like, it didn't even just stop at him. They got alternate universe versions of him to bring in and fucking torture. Like, so it wasn't even just the one. They got the other guy in.
Do you know what though? Do you know what though?
Got a rough go. He did.
The actor did get his payback though on it because he actually did legit separate Jared Padalecki's shoulder on the show. So in one of the series where Jared is literally in his shoulder thing for like half the series, that was because Kevin Tran legit separated. Like,
that's one hell of a. But in all fairness,
that's one hell of payback. And I say they were like, we are not pranking him anymore.
Yeah. That's one hell of a shoulder to separate as well. Your man Padalecki's about 6'4". He's
like, yeah, he is legit a moose.
Yeah.
See, one of my biggest issues, like, well, it's not even an issue really. It's one thing I love about the characters in Supernatural. None of them are good people. Not one of them. they're all bad people. Like
All
they've all
flawed.
done shit to each
Yeah.
other and to other people in the series. Like Sam with his flip flops, like is like 1 minute he's
Yeah.
great, and then the next minute he'll be a fucking dick. Like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like one of my favorite scenes is when they go 5 years in the future
And
and
he's
they
Lucifer.
see Sam as the devil. They see Sam as the devil, and he's so evil. Like this is it, and it's like so nicest character at this time, and I was like,
Sorry, we were going on to like, oh, none of us hate the demons. Does Ruby count as a demon?
well, I hate
Yes.
Ruby. I hate fucking Ruby.
If Ruby counts as a demon, I fucking hate the bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She. But the thing about with Ruby
and
as
she
well, though,
gets to come up and stuff.
Funny enough,
She
but the thing
does.
about Ruby is that no matter who they cast as her, like she was just a fundamentally hateable character. I was like,
Yes.
oh my god, like this is really, really. And then Jared Padalecki goes and marries the ugliest one of them. So fuck it.
Genevieve is actually quite adorable, and the height difference as well. Like, I mean, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I say there's some serious logistical problems there.
If you join us for Supernatural After Dark, we'll discuss that.
When he visit real life, he's like, "You married Ruby."
Yeah, when they go in the
you
real
married. I believe what he said is you married replacement Ruby. That's actually what he says. They're talking about like the alpaca at the back garden as well. Like Jared and Jen do look like the ones I'd have an alpaca. Well, they are the greenest
Is that a
animal. You can
llama?
see
No,
Jen's
it's an
like,
alpaca.
yeah,
Shit.
alpaca. I was thinking, I think like one of the most, I think my most hate, like obviously Bella is my most hated character. I just did not like. I think it's because I just didn't really connect with the actress that was doing it, right?
Yeah.
But you had said it, Anya, that like each of the characters have their flaws, and like the only, like, I'll be honest here, I do have like my favorite character of all time is Dean Winchester. I love him so much. I just think he's adorable, but like he's the only character that doesn't try to hide the fact that he's a piece of shit.
He's straight up.
He's very open. He's very to the point, and like some of the stuff that he does in
That
it
doesn't make him any less of a piece of shit, you know.
No. I'm not saying, like, what I mean in this is like he's the only one that doesn't try to get around it. Like he's very open. The fact is, yeah, I am a bad person. But the worst person I think in the series by far is because he's a person that never admits to being wrong, and it's John Winchester.
Yep.
Yeah, he's such a dick.
He is I actually genuinely think out of all the characters in the show, no matter who it, like the fucking devil, Lucifer, is a main character in the show, yet I still think John Winchester is worse than the devil himself.
Yeah, because I mean he abandons his kids at every possible like
Opportunity.
He just runs off like and leaves Dean and Sam sitting where they are.
It's like
fair enough. I know if he was to tell them, "Oh, I have a lead on him. I have a lead on Yellow Eyes," Dean would follow him, and he'd go get Sam, and Sam would follow him. Like
it's a thing.
No problem. But the thing is, he didn't want that to happen. But you left them like they could have died so many times.
The thing is, like, training them from a young age, right? So if you go back on it, so Dean was 4, Sam was a baby, and it's like, okay, I'm going to take my 4-year-old child and a newborn baby on the road while I hunt a demon that killed my wife. This is my now sole passion, but I'm going to train these children to be able to do the same thing. He leaves them with Bobby every chance that he gets when he can, or else he leaves them in a hotel room by himself with a loaded gun. And in America, most fucking kids are killed by a gun in their own home, or else they would be shot. They shoot their own parents, which John deserved. But I never really copped it until a couple of months ago when I actually started doing the rewatch on it. And it's the last episode of season 1, and they finally meet up with John. And it's just before it's before they get into the car accident. So they're in the hotel, the motel, and Dean attempts to take a shot with the gun on it, and he wastes a bullet on it, And then they get into the hotel,
The
and John
cult,
is
yeah,
like,
the
yeah,
cult.
and John is like, oh no, it's okay. Like, you kept Sammy safe. I'm really proud of you. And it's at that moment when Dean's like, you're not my dad. Because he wouldn't be proud of me. He'd be so pissed at me. He would literally beat the shit out of me because I wasted a bullet, because this has been his life's motivation is to get this person. And then you see that he's yellow eyes. And I kind of like, oh, funny, funny. And then like moving on, and then I watched further episodes. And there's an episode where in one of the later series with Kevin Tran, and Crowley cops, okay, he knows now that the Sam and Dean that he has are not really Sam and Dean. They're two demons. And Kevin Tran is sitting there and he's eating like a steak burger and chips. And Crowley kind of goes, how did you know? And Kevin goes, they knocked on the door with a steak burger and chips. Sam and Dean would not do that. So Crowley's like, so you mean to tell me that my demons were too polite to be people who are supposed to be your friends? And it's like, this is the type of thing you're like, this is what they get from, this is the type of upbringing that they've had, that they feel that this is okay to treat people like this because this is how we were treated. It's no different to them. Like, to them, this is the norm, to treat people like shit, because it's how they always were treated. And I'm just like, in my mind, it finally clicked with me. And I was like, oh, John really was the absolute villain of this series. He is the biggest piece of shit to ever come out. I don't think anyone could actually top him, like Father of the fucking
No,
Year. But like,
like
but the real kicker on it, the real pissy up moment on this is one episode where they go back in time. They go back to the past, because they did it a few times. And they meet the mother, Mary. And you find out that Mary's family were the hunters and John had nothing to do with that life. And it was only after he figured, only after she died, and he figures out what she is, that's when he becomes a hunter. So realistically, yeah, it's actually Mary's fault all this happens to begin with, but John is the piece of shit.
yeah, like, and
So
how you go back in time then to when they were only starting to date, and she literally made a deal to make sure he lived. Like, so,
yeah, yeah,
With
you can have my second born child. That's fine. What else? Just like, she knew that was going to happen. Love, just don't get attached to the baby. Okay, if you know it's going to happen, you already have one kid. Just be like, just don't get attached to the second one, and then go for a third. It's grand. Sammy the second.
this is it. I mean, she knew she was going to die. She knew, because he was like, I will come back for you. And she's like,
Mm.
what else?
And then like and then the son has to, and then Sam has to go through the whole fucking thing himself. And like, granted, it's what spurs the Winchester men on, apparently, is seeing your wife, girlfriend, mother burning on the ceiling.
Jessica did not to die.
No, no. Well, she kind of did, just to kind of, we need a reason for Sam to
Yeah,
actually go on the road.
see, this is it as well with Sam. He was ultimately a good character, but he became bad because of all the shit.
It's
And
one
then
of
his own choices a lot of the time as well made it
it's a real
bad.
yeah, it's a real thing though as well. I think it just goes to show which parent each son takes after.
Yeah,
Because as soon as, it's literally, Sam gets away from the life because he hates the fact that he's doing, like, they're on a revenge mission for someone that he, let's be honest, he didn't know. So he thinks it's ridiculous. He doesn't see the point of this. Yeah, as soon as it happens to him, he's onto the revenge motif. He literally he's following in his father's footsteps, so to speak. Whereas Dean kind of embraced the hunter lifestyle. He's like, do you know what? This is what we do. I enjoy what I do. I get to beat the shit out of people. I don't have to form relationships. I don't have to be close to people. It's basically what his mother was like. So when you see what the characters are like in the other episodes, you do see, okay, who takes after who in each one.
yeah,
But then with Sam, you're saying there with Sam's choices, like, you kind of expect Dean to be the one to actually be corruptible, to become the evil
yeah.
child, in sort of thing, in a sense.
Really
Whereas then Sam gets his drug demon, blood addiction, and you're like, oh, you stupid fuck, you stupid, like, you get angry
At the
at
character.
the yeah,
Yeah,
you're getting angry at the character for the choices that they're making, because you know it's wrong, that he knows it's wrong, but
yeah,
that little bitch Ruby, because he's too busy trying to get into our pants. Realistically, yes, he was trying to get into our pants. He was going to do anything he could. Yeah, I'll drink your blood. Yeah. I'll let you tie me up. Yeah, that's no worries, love.
Rich. Fucking.
Like this is it. I mean, he's a. We know he can be good, and this is it. It's like Sam, what are you
Sam,
doing?
when Sam, when Castiel completely destroys the mental wall that he had like put basically all the Lucifer memories in, right, and it makes Sam go insane. I was like, good. You deserve it, you fucker,
All
because
the
of what
memories
you've
that
done.
Death put there from when he was in the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Castiel just kind of goes off on an absolute god complex mad when he's like, boom, fuck you, you hurt Dean more than anyone else. I'm gonna make you suffer for what you've done to my boyfriend. That's literally how it is. Let's call a spade here. I just love it so much.
No, it's true because Castell's like, Dean's my boy. You hurt me.
You hurt my boy. I hurt you. That's why. That's why.
I think we're also forgetting about like one real. I imagine it's safe to say that all of us like him, which is Crowley.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love Crowley.
Crowley.
I mean, I just think it's like for me a brilliant episode is like in regards to the Hellhounds. The fact that like all this about like the Hellhounds, you can't see them, and it's like mine's bigger. Boom! I'm like, that is what I want from a character.
Oh my god, he's so good.
He's so good. He's
Crowley.
so good.
Him.
He's so effortless.
Yeah.
Like when you're watching him as he comes across so effortless. There's one of the other angels that's in it. It was Sebastian Roach played him. He was the English one. He played Balthazar, who basically decides, oh, I'm not really into the war upstairs, so I'm just going to rob everything that they need to win this, and I'm going to leave it everywhere. I actually loved the episode. The episode that I'm thinking of now is when Castiel is basically he's trying to get a load of souls to help like build an army in heaven so they can fight like the demons and stuff. So he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to unsink the Titanic just so we can have these souls for it. And like the whole reason is like I never thought something because I just hated the movie. I hated that song so much, so I decided I'm gonna change history so it's never think. I'm like, oh, you're like, that's what I would do if I thought I could get away with like fucking up with the space-time continuum. I would be Balthazar, I think, in all this. I'd be like, yeah, that was a shit moment in history. Let's just take it out and see what happens. Like, but the unsinking of the Titanic is just, I just didn't like the song.
You see people like Balthazar, see him doing it like, I didn't like Hitler. I'm just gonna go kill him. He just.
I wonder how. This timeline
Crowley, and they just went into a lot of detail about him, like with his whole backstory, bringing in his mother as well, his mom as gas as well for the first part of it.
There's a bit of a laugh, isn't she?
Rowena. Yeah. She was really good. I really liked her character, but
she was good at the beginning, and then afterwards, like towards the end, she's just like. She is that Deus Ex Machina where they're like, oh, how do we do this? And then she'll come in, oh, by the way, there's a book here with a spell in it. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, like.
Magically, this information is here right in front of us.
Yeah. At the books of my local library.
The Book of the Damned. It's been in the Men of Letters bunker for like 70,000 years. Like, it's
that place you've been living in for the last 2 fucking years that apparently you went through.
Read a fucking book every now and again. Put the laptops down.
I can understand her knowing where shit is because
she's been around for centuries.
But the fact that they don't realize, like,
it's just sitting behind. It's like it could be glowing behind them with like a load of arrows pointing to it, and you can imagine they'd be like,
"Where is it?"
This arrow is in the way. I just can't find it.
Guys, beetle.
But no, funny thing, his character in Firefly Badger is pretty much identical to Crowley. He's a small-time hustler, with massive delusions of grandeur. Now, obviously, because Firefly was shot in the knees, Badger never got to be the King of Hell equivalent.
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
He
but
is in our hearts.
I'd really just like Crowley. He just seems to be able to do those types of characters where he's just a slimy Machiavellian cunt.
We wouldn't mind having a drink with him.
We
That's
all
the thing is, like, I'd like to have a drink with that character.
Like,
Bobby.
we all love Crowley, but I mean,
Bobby,
the
yeah.
absolute workhorse of the entire series, like show, is Bobby.
Bobby.
Absolutely.
Even when he's dead, they're still
That
like,
fucking got me like 4 times. Like,
Yeah, no, the scene where they realize Bobby's become a vengeful spirit, and they've to burn his
burn the flask,
the hip
the
flask.
flask.
It's the only thing left of him. Yeah, that's a real
That-
tearjerker of an episode.
Do you know actually the episode? It's called Death's Door, and it's basically when Bobby is running from the Reaper and he's in his memories, and you can kind of see the backstory as to how he got into being a hunter. That fucked me up royally, because the last scene is obviously is him with the boys, and he's like, well, I was more of a dad to them than John ever was, sort of thing. And he does, like, he takes on a role. I find that I cried. I don't think I ever cried at a TV show more consecutively in like series and certain episodes than I ever did at Supernatural. And
Was that the one
pissed
where
me
like
off.
he's making it? There's something about a cake in one of the end where he puts it down. Fuck. I know the episode you're talking about, because he sits down for a party. It's a birthday party that he throws.
No,
No.
that's a different one. That's when that's Rufus is constantly coming back to him because he needs help. He's trying to eat a piece of pie that his neighbor
that's the one.
had made, and every time he sits down to eat it, Rufus is back being like, I need you to help me burn a body. And you're just like, oh, okay, fine. I need those friends in my life, by the way. Shout out to those people. I know I have 2 of them who would, like, literally, if I knocked on the doors and went, here, I have a dead body in the boot of the car, I need your help, one of them would be like, I'll go get the shovel from the back and we'll go and get Debbie's car. Like, that would literally be those 2 people. But this is one of these shows where it's like, anytime, like, when Bobby has these amazing heart moments when he's really ripping it into the boys. He doesn't hold back, and you can see like the emotion that he gets. But like, these 2 fucking actors, the bastards, like, they cry. They, honest to God, if you click your fingers at them, I think they could cry. And there's something really different. Like, if you watch a TV show and like, I'll take Grey's Anatomy for an example, right? And you have the female characters and they're going through all the emotions and they start to cry. You're kind of like, I'm expecting this to happen, so it doesn't hit me emotionally as it probably should. But then when I watch this, and I don't know what it is, I think it's just because like men don't really cry, and it's a real kind of stupid thing. It's like when you see men cry, you know a man is hurting, type of situation. Like this is yeah. So there's one of the episodes, I think it's not one of the episodes, numerous episodes in this is when the 2 of them are literally at that moment, and you can just see the tears are starting to build in their eyes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm with you, and I will cry with them, sort of thing. This episode, the series 2 finale, I think it's like part 1 or part 2 of it, because I know it was a 2-parter, and it's when Sam gets stabbed in the back by Jake, who is one of the other psychic children, and Dean is holding on to him, and he's screaming his name because he knows
I remember seeing that for the first time and being like,
I burst out crying because at this point it's only season 2 and they've just killed one of the main characters. This was before we knew they were they could come back. And Dean goes to the crossroads. That's actually one of my favorite myths as well. Crossroads Demon is one of my favorite things. But when he brings him back, and then he comes back, and he's trying to hide the fact that he's after selling his soul, and rather than getting the 10 years, he only gets the 1. Yes, it was the end of series 2.
Yeah.
And then series 3 is basically them trying to get Dean out of his deal and Bella coming into it. And then probably the introduction of 2 of the best throwaway characters I've ever seen in Ed and what's his name? Ed and Harry.
The Ghost Faces.
The Ghost Facers. The Ghost Facers episode.
They come back into it. They're in it.
They do.
Multiple times.
They do, but they are in this at this point in time they were throwaway characters because they come into it and they'd already they've been in the Trickster episode. They were in the Trickster. I think one of them was like already an actor in the Trickster episode, but they come across them again, and it's brilliant because everything it's done as like a found footage episode, and it's all done off like the cameras. And literally, the character Ed just kind of looks at them. They come in and goes, "These are these fuckers from Texas," like sort of thing. And it's like the haunted birthday party that Sam has to go to with all the dead bodies. That was That was, honest to God, I think that was one of my favorite episodes ever because it was so different, but it was also literally just taking the piss out of what was massively trendy at the time, which was the ghost hunter
their
shows.
little friend that gets killed when they go, ghost faces meet back up with them somehow, and they're going to search like this haunted mansion or haunted hospital or
Yeah,
something. One of the places, and their friend gets killed, and
yeah,
they take him getting killed, and they're like, seeing him, and then he comes back as a spirit, and they have to see their one of their best friends has been.
yeah.
He's
Oh,
like,
what's his name?
oh,
He's like, they treat him like the intern or something. He was like, yeah,
yeah,
this is our intern, Gary, or I know that's not his actual name,
yeah,
but like, yeah, and then they realize, oh shit, this is actually real, and he is now dead. And what the hell are we gonna do now, sort of thing. I think like I love that type of, like, I love when they did show like those type of episodes when it's like it's not really a canon episode. Like, granted, I think it's because the reason why actually this was done the way it was, 2065, so 5, 6, this has been 2007, 2008. So this actually happened around the writer's strike. Do you
mm,
remember the writer's strike happened, which is why there was only 16 episodes, because that was all that they had done. But one of them was basically, well, it's not a complete episode, so they did it as a found footage episode, which was
yeah,
why most of that is actually ad-libbed, that one, what they did it on. But like they did, yeah, I mean, there was some fucking weird things that were some fucking weird things. Like, I mean, they honestly did a Scooby-Doo crossover episode in season
yeah.
14.
Yeah.
It's
I have two
Oh,
favorite episodes, and one of them is Yellow Fever.
The Eye of the Tiger outtake at
Oh,
the
is that
very end.
the fear episode?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Like
That's
the
my
cat
favorite
comes
as
down
well.
the fucking the locker.
Breathing and everything, yeah. Funnily enough, hilariously, my favorite part of that entire episode is the post-credit scene.
Yeah, the Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, the
Where
tiger
he's
one.
doing, yeah.
One of my
Yeah, I
favorites.
love that.
One of my favorites is they're walking down the street, and he's like, "Where are you going?" Or the motel's that way. The group of teenagers over there. I don't really want.
He wants to walk around the I'm like, yes, I feel you. That's me.
I love
I
it
love
because
it.
he did this,
Running from the tiny little dog.
the scene at the end where he's doing the Eye of the Tiger thing, where he's doing the scratching thing and laughing at the director. He said that in the interviews. He's like, he did that specifically at the director because he kept telling him, "Oh, you're not scratching enough. You're not scratching your arm enough." Yeah. So when he was doing that scene, he's just like, "See the hell, no, you
I'm fucking scratching it now, you prick."
The next one would be the rabbit's foot.
Oh God!
Just
The look at
for that one moment where it's literally like,
I'm Batman.
I lost my shoe. Oh, do you know what I love about that one when they lose it and he's like, I lost my shoe.
how sad little puppy he is.
It's just like I lost my shoe.
I quite liked, my second favorite episode is the one where they investigate I think it was when Chuck was brought in as the prophet. They investigate they actually go into the Winchester, the convention, the fan convention.
Oh God!
They're reading all the fan fiction
They're
They
about
find out about Wincest. When they find out about Wincest,
They do know we're brothers, right? I don't think it matters.
that's the point. It's like, people are sick.
So brilliant.
Yeah,
I love
remember when they go to that hotel?
Yeah.
Becky calls them pretending it's she texts them pretending it's Chuck, and they're like, "What are we doing here? Why is there so many impalas?"
Yeah. It's like, what is going on? And then like people are like, oh my god, your cosplay is amazing. You look just like them. We are them. Oh, you're in character. That's great. I love that.
They've to show the tattoos that stop them from getting
And
when they go
everyone has it. It's
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. They go to the bookstore. The guy doesn't believe them. They're like, "Yeah, we're fans as well." He's like, "Oh, cool, man."
I was so, I'm not gonna lie, I was so close to getting that tattoo. That tattoo done.
But,
I wasn't gonna get it in the same position though, because like there's certain tops I want to be able to wear.
Do you remember the episode much later on that they go and they actually watch a live stage performance of Supernatural being played?
that's an incredible episode. It's not hilarious.
It was
But,
so well done.
Oh,
But the song at the end, where they do a kind of chorus version of Wayward Son,
Yeah.
It's so
brilliant.
good.
It's
They
fucking
actually,
brilliant.
the opening, do you know the way at the end of every series they play "Carry On My Wayward Son."
Yeah.
It's actually at the end of that series, that episode is in it. That is the version of the song that they use. Her singing "Carry On My Wayward Son," and it's so fucking good.
It's really good. It's
I'll-
really fucking good.
I'll be honest. I think my favorite. I think I've two favorite episodes, and they're two very fucking different episodes. The first one is the Black Spot episode, where Dean continuously dies throughout the entire day, and
Yeah.
Sam keeps waking up
Great
to.
episode.
He keeps waking up to Asia, heat of the moment.
Yeah.
I love that episode. I love that one, but I also love the episode "Abandon All Hope," and it's season 5. It's season 5 of "Abandon All Hope," and it's when Helen and Joe die, when they
Yeah.
sacrifice
So
themselves.
sad.
I loved those are my favorite. The more emotional the episode is driven, the more likely it is it's going to be one of my favorites, because it will stick with me. I find that, like, there is actually the one as well when they're basically on the college. It's the first Trickster episode, when they're on the college campus, and the jock the jock is explaining to him that he was like abducted by an alien, and he's like, did they probe you? And he's like, no, they did something worse. And it was like, what? And it's like they made him dance to Lady in Red. He's like, they're dancing with an alien. You're just like, oh my god. It's so like,
right. In all
it's so
fairness, to him,
stupid, but
right,
it makes me laugh.
I know, like, we're having a nice, fun joke as well, but in all seriousness, I would probably rather be anally violated than dance to Lady in Red.
Yeah.
If
you're gonna bring me up,
I just don't
if you're
like
gonna
the
bring me
work
up,
or that song.
if you're gonna bring me up on the fucking spacecraft, at least do the anal probing. I was promised an anal probe. Like, if I'm gonna be abducted by an alien, if I'm going to be like abducted by an alien, I want the full abduction experience. Don't you dare put on Lady in Red and expect me to
I
dance.
say it for the abduction.
Oh, but what does make it even better is because, like, he asked him, I think Dean asked him, were you probed? And he's like, again and again and again and again. And you're just like, wow.
You can see Dean sitting there like,
And the college kid is just there with a drink in his hand. It was again and again. Like, that one, I think, if that was like, I remember Sky Living actually started showing it over here. That was what they did. They were a year behind on the series. So, like, the first series had already shown in America, and they were starting the second series, but Ireland had only just gotten the first series, the rights for it. But, like, so I would watch it on Sky Living at like 12 o'clock at night before school the next day, because I'm just like, I just want to watch this. I found it by accident, but when it got to like season 3 and like this this was one of the episodes, I was like, this is the greatest show of all time, because like they do the serious, but they do the funny, but like they did do a really nice mix of it. And then,
like, just another one is like, I love that even in the middle of like a serious season, there'll be the odd episode here and there where like
giggle
randomly, like, they'll just, oh yeah, we're pranking each other in the episode, like they're trying
changing
to
channels.
Frank, that's the first one with the ghost facers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
the glue, the itching
hand.
powder.
bottles
Yeah.
in his hand, and then he pulls the laughing thing. He's like, yeah.
or the itching powder.
Yeah.
And do the
You're a
interview
jerk.
and just like,
Yeah. The changing channels episode is, I love that episode as well, purely because of the fake commercial that they're in.
Yeah.
And like they're playing basketball.
wow.
And like Sam has to send a line, and like Dean is like, as if say line, I have genital herpes. And Dean is just sniggering to himself while he continues to play basketball.
Now, I quite liked funnily enough, one of my favorite episodes. It's not one of the my more favorite episodes tend to be the ones where I'm laughing literally from start to finish.
Yeah.
One of my not really very funny but very well done episodes, I thought, was in the 5th series as well, which is Hammer of the Gods, which is where all the gods trap
At
them.
the motel.
at the
Isn't it?
motel and
Yeah.
plan
I
on
love that episode.
handing them over because they're like, oh, the Judeo-Christian apocalypse is going to kill us all. And it's like, I think one of them's Thor or one of them's Loki, who turns
There's
out,
Odin.
yeah,
Odin is there. Loki's
Aaron
there.
Samedi
Anubis
as
is
well,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm nearly sure there is a Buddha
Vale.
god there as well.
Yeah,
It's
Xiao
just
Shan,
like, oh,
Xiao Shan, the Chinese one, is there as
yeah,
well. Like
it's
that.
a real mind. It's a real, honest to God, it's a real moment of like a load of gods just like the Christians are fucking at it again.
Yeah.
Deal with this. Just get rid of them. We don't want them
What
anymore.
I loved about it is that they're not really wholly mentioned in any previous episodes. And obviously they're not mentioned afterwards because Lucifer comes in and fucking kills them all. But it's weird because
Christianity taking over, making sure it kills out every other
very obvious
religion. It's a
from that.
metaphor.
That's a very obvious like episode that somebody clearly mentioned to one of the writers. Like, what about all the other gods? You know, like there's loads of others. What about them?
Yeah.
What about like I think Mercury's one of them. What about Greek gods?
Yeah.
Like that. And he's like,
What about God Calais? What about this? What about that?
and he
Yeah.
obviously went, oh yeah, they wouldn't be too happy about what's going on here. And so you just, it's a brilliant episode. I really, really liked it. I really liked that one.
You'd think if these mythical creatures were real and there was shit going down, there was a holy war, they might step in.
They might go, yeah, hi. Hi. Your god might have fucked off, but the rest of us are still here. So like pray to us, we might be able to help you. SpongeBob, if you're up there.
I
love it, and it's at like the shittiest 1-star motel as well. Like it's not.
But when they go inside, it looks stunning. It's actually the same set they use for like Bobby Singer's house, but they did it up so well.
Like I have two favorites are very serious episodes actually.
Yeah.
My first one is what is and what should never be. It's like Dean goes into a building and gets like attacked by a djinn.
Oh yes, and he lives they have a normal life.
Oh yeah, and he's like,
yeah,
keep seeing this girl, and like everywhere he goes, and the mother's alive, but the dad died of natural causes.
Yeah, he had a heart attack.
Jessica, and Dean's not this beautiful girl, and it's like
the nurse. The doctor, the nurse.
And he's like, I've seen her face somewhere before. He keeps thinking this in his head. And he called Sam at night. And Sam is sitting there studying a book, like, which you obviously think is going to be something to do with monsters. And it turns out it's a law skill book.
Yeah.
Skill. And he's like, all of these things is happening. And it's like, it's showing him what could have been if they had just had a normal life.
Yeah.
He's like, he still doesn't want it. He still wants to be a hunter. Which is very intelligent. I really like that. And what was the other episode I have? It's the one where Castiel saves him. They meet Castiel for the first time. It's like, it's the fact that they introduced the angel.
Lazarus Rising. I think that one, I love that episode. I think this is one of those things is like, do you know when like a character gets introduced to, I always say about the IT crowd. I think it's probably one of the greatest character entrances that anyone can ever have, when he literally bursts into the church and he's like, Father! It's one of the greatest entrances for any type of character.
I love
it. In fairness, only Matt Berry pulls that off.
Can pull it off. He can. Granted, okay. So,
and if
he has an advantage on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're going to be replacing Chris Morris,
I mean,
you're going like, right, this is the first line. This is my first thing. I've got to fucking ham this way up.
And he does it so well.
Oh yeah, I've got to like put so much ham into this. The viewers' cholesterol levels are going to be going up. Like I got to
exactly.
But
it's one. Honest to God, I always think it's the greatest like character entrance ever. But when we first meet Castiel, and the lights are going, and and he literally, the door just open, and he walks in, and it's like, it's really it's funny in a way, because it's like, the wardrobe for Cass is based off Constantine.
Yeah, it's
Like
that's
that's what
no
his
blazer,
wardrobe
yeah.
is based on, right? So when you think of it, you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of clever. But then, like, the first thing that happens to him, he's stabbed in the chest with a demon killing knife, and he just does this little smirk, pulls it out, and drops it as if it's at the best you can kind of do, sort of thing. And I think it's one of those. It's like, oh, this is a little bit more serious now. Okay, because we weren't really 100% sure who this person was. All we knew is that his name was Castiel, and then he's like, I'm an angel of the Lord, and we have
Lord,
work for you.
I have pulled you from the depths of damnation. It's like,
What's
like wow.
oh, I'm the I'm I'm the one that gripped you tight and raised you from perdition. It's the way he delivers it, and it's really funny as well because originally he was only meant to be in 6 episodes. He was meant to be 6 episodes, series 4, and that was the end of it. But because of the fan outpour of how much they fucking loved him, he was brought back. He was brought back. So they killed Cass originally twice. Eric Kripke, who created the show, he actually wrote out Castiel's character twice. They killed him twice, but because of the fans, they were like, shit, he's okay. They want him back. We kind of have to. That's why he kept being brought back. And every time they're like, how are you back? We killed you. Like you were dead, sort of thing. Like they exploded him in one episode where like Chuck fucking pulled a molar out of his head because Cass explodes. But because of the fans, they had to bring him back. It's like I think he's one of these. I love the character. Like it's a show that actually has great character development as well, because while we've already agreed that everyone's a dick except Bobby, and actually, do you know what? Charlie also wasn't a dick, and she got done dirty. She didn't deserve
Charlie.
that. Charlie didn't deserve the death that she got, so fuck them for that.
But that was always going to happen to her.
But
Like
fuck them for that.
my
She didn't
first,
deserve an off. She didn't
my,
deserve off screen like that.
no, don't they
She
find
deserved
her?
to go out. No, they find alternate reality purgatory, Charlie, and they bring her
Oh
back.
yeah, that's the alternate reality.
Right.
She dies in the
What
bathtub.
happens
Yeah,
Yeah,
she dies in the bathtub from the Stein family.
yeah.
In their
Yeah.
dimension, kind of, they find her dead in a bathtub.
Yeah.
From the Stein family, the last of the Frankenstein families, which is actually, that's fucking what it was. Okay, this is in, I think it's like series 1 or series 2. This was actually one of my favorite fucking things ever, and it was the doctor that was taking body parts to keep himself alive. That was basically the Frankenstein theory. Yeah, I fucking loved that episode. That was fucking creepy. That was a real X-Files type episode thing to do.
One of my
the earlier episodes.
early episodes is H.H. Holmes.
The Murder House, yes.
Yeah,
America's first fucking serial killer, like that, and like that's a real fucking thing. That's not myth. That was fucking legit.
This
They
man
also actually
this did like, and he
this
had
happened.
The what was it? The murder castle
Yes, in fucking Chicago.
in
Like,
Chicago.
that's a thing. That's a real thing. Oh, there was.
Thing.
Do you know actually? Do you know what actually was weird? And this was series 14, I'm gonna guess on it. They actually brought in John Wayne Gacy. I could have done without that.
Yeah, Gacy is in series 14.
I could have done without that. Now, granted, I already declared this to the lads. I skimmed through series 12 to 15. I watched 3 episodes of season 15. I watched the first one, the 18th one, and the very last one. Because I felt that would give me the best moment on it. But there is the way the character, I was just saying, like on the character development on it, I think Castiel's character is the best one for character development because of how you see him at the very start, where he is literally, I am a droid. He is a drone. He is a soldier drone on this one. He is told, you need to go and you need to make sure that he says yes and he says yes so we
He's
can
a
have the
zealot.
apocalypse.
I think that's the thing. He's a zealot who learns kind of like human ways and learns that there's
exactly. That's the thing is, because they
grey.
say them. It's the thing is, it's like they mention it a lot of times. You are spending too much time with the Winchesters. Specifically, you're spending too much time with Dean. You are starting to show doubt. You're starting to show emotion, and they take him up and they brainwash. Like Cass goes through the fucking runner because of Dean Winchester. Let's call a spade there. And like, but his entire character arc, from going from he was an angel, he starts to feel doubt, he rebels, he then becomes a human, he loses his memory, he becomes a new type of god, he goes insane. And he always comes back to where he's like, I don't feel like I no longer belong in heaven. I probably deserve to be in purgatory. I need to be punished. But he always finds himself back with the Winchesters.
He reminds me a lot of the character Crowley from Angels and Demons, in that the other demons criticize him. There's a scene in Good Omens. Sorry, apologies.
Yes.
Good Omens, when there's a scene in a graveyard where he's meeting other demons.
Yeah.
They all reside in hell. And there's a scene before he shows up and they're all like, yeah, this one's a little weird. And they say, oh, he's gone native.
Yeah.
Because he spent so much time on Earth.
On Earth, yeah. It's
like, oh, he's gone native. And I think that's what happens with Castiel. All the other angels are looking at him going, he's gone native. Like,
one of my
it's because
as well is remember when they introduced Anna?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the fallen angel?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember there's this other angel going around and he's torturing them or something. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
That's the Grigori angel one.
What?
The Grigori angel,
No,
the one who bleeds people. The angel with the sword, not a knife.
Oh, I don't think so. I think
no, this one is...
He's like, he tortures Ruby. He tortures Anna. But he's trying to get Anna.
Oh, is that the one where he keeps them in a kind of like almost a semi-comatose state? He keeps them in a kind of like a dream state. Yes, I know it. Yeah, no, I know the one there. Yeah.
It was different.
Angels are dicks.
No, he wasn't an angel. He was a demon.
That's Alistair.
Alistair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love the actor who played him.
Yes, I know.
when he's talking, when he's delivering a monologue, and this actor has a specific lisp, and it's the way he delivers the lines. He's like, "Then you are my greatest pride," and you're just like, "Oh my god, I want you to die." But he's so good at... What the fuck is that?
and
he's so good at doing what he does on it.
And he was the one who was teaching Dean.
Yeah,
how to be a
Dean broke. Yeah, Dean broke the first seal. Poor sweet baby. Poor sweet baby Dean.
After this many years, you lived for a long time. Like, you went through it for long enough.
You lasted, like, I think he's like, he was dead for 4 months, but it was like 40 years for him in hell. So he held out for 40 years without saying yes, and then eventually he breaks the first seal by agreeing to torture people in hell, which, I'll be honest, that seems like a promotion. I'm just like, I'd probably be like,
but I quite like,
get me off the rack. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, give me a fucking poke. Give me 2 pokers. I can do 2 at once. Yeah, I'm fucking employee of the month.
And hell. And he became his number one because he was good at it.
And he enjoyed it.
And he enjoyed torturing people. It was
To be fair, I think this is the thing. Like, this is going back to John and how he severely, like, mentally abused his son. And I think it's kind of like that's Dean, like, imagining these poor souls. This is John. This is what I would do to my dad because of all the shit he put me through. Like, that's him getting payback. That's therapy for him. But it's like, it is one of those things, is like, where the character, like, they do have, like, the crisis of fate, and then they do go through, like, they try, like, everyone has their own redemption arc as well, because Crowley had a redemption arc in it as well. Like, he sacrificed himself, like, to basically try to save the world, and because of the amount of time that he spends with the Winchesters, like,
and the likes of Meg, she eventually has a redemption because she's like trying to take care of Cass, and she's like,
sleeping with Cass. That's why she has a redemption.
I like him.
They kept me. I missed. See, this is the thing is, so because I'd missed some of it and I was skipping episodes and I was like jumping in on certain ones, I was like, why do they? I don't understand why they keep talking about the pizza man. So I was like, I actually have to go back to watch this to find out what this joke is in reference to. And it was only when I was looking for an episode when I went, oh, it's the porn. Oh, they slept together. Okay, that's what that one was. So that's why she like.
I love Cass, yeah,
Cass
because he's
watched
like,
porn?
he's such like a child. He's like, why?
Why is the plumber doing that?
Like,
I love as well. Like Dean is like,
why is she
you
doing
do not watch porn. I love the way Sam and Dean are like, are you watching porn? You don't watch porn when we're in the room. Do it in your own time. It's not like we don't watch that. It's do it in your own time. Don't do it while we're here. We don't want this. Like, you're
He's
nasty.
like, he just looks down on himself and realizes.
It's like,
Like, oh God.
it's like that's the thing is. It's like it's a real like this is one of the things like it's a real like lowbrow humor that some of the things have as well. But it's also things like if we find this funny, chances are our fan base are gonna find this funny. And you know what? Yes, well played, sir. Well played. Do you know what actually always annoyed me about Supernatural is that the one mythical creature that they probably could have brought into it that never happened, even if it was just like an hallucination, I would have loved to have seen a unicorn.
Not even Supernatural.
What in fairies? Why couldn't they bring in a unicorn?
That's what I mean. Like, it's like you've kind of like, to be fair now, like if we really think back, like the Leprechaun episode would have been the perfect time to whip a unicorn out. You want to see a unicorn? Here's a fucking unicorn. Like it literally could have just been running in the background with the leprechaun and just Dean feeling validated, been like,
in all fairness, they did have the Miz in one of the episodes.
The wrestling episode, yeah, where their favorite wrestler dies suspiciously.
The fucking Miz.
And he's a fucking jobber. He's a fucking jobber in the episode. Fuck you, dude.
I fucking love it.
The episode was Sam and Dean sitting in the crowd like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
like a fan.
This is the fucking best thing ever.
Dean gets in the ring and he's like trying to bounce off the ropes and he's cutting a promo and then gets caught. It's like, I wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I was just checking the bounce.
You know one of my favorites is the Christmas episode.
With the beer reef.
You know what I say when I feel like cursing? Fudge.
That's like, you put me with that knife again, I'll fucking kill you. Good, you get it. We assimilated the pagans. That's what they were, the pagans. Oh, it's so good. See, that's the thing is, like, earlier episodes were fucking great. They were. They really.
Well, the Miz one, that's in season 11. That's in one of the much later ones.
Yeah, it's like,
well, like no, but like it's like I think. See, this the thing is with any TV show, right? You're always going to have a hit and miss on it, right?
Yeah.
So one of the other things I wanted, I was going to. I don't even know why I fucking tried to structure this because it turned out better than I planned. But like one of the things with TV shows is that originally when Supernatural was conceived as an idea, it was originally going to be a reporter reporting on local legends. It wasn't going to be fighting them, he was reporting on them. And then it changed significantly to actually, what if we had two brothers hunting them? So it's still the same, going to town after town and hunting and finding folklore legends and mythical creatures, but then it's taking them out and destroying them. And that's like, it works. And they had it in mind, this will run for 5 seasons, because the end of season 5, Swan Song, where Lucifer and Michael, which is played Adam, the half brother, who they conveniently just forget about. They go to hell and back for each other, but not for the half brother.
Funnily enough, they kind of referentially bring him back in that play.
Yeah, but that's,
play.
do you know what that was? Do you know why they did that? Because it kept getting brought up by fans. What about Adam?
You just knew that was a stab at
and they were like,
to go, I'll ask him about Adam. I was like, no.
But that's the thing, yeah. that's the thing is though, it's like it's really funny because it gets asked so often because it is basically like a running joke of been like, yeah, because they joke about it at conventions as well, and they're like, what about whatever happened like to Adam when he was thrown into the cage of hell, and the main characters will all be like, who? I don't know who this person is. I've never heard of this person before. Like they know it kind of went off because originally that was meant to be the end of the show, but it got picked up again. So that's why they were like, oh shit, it was a real, we haven't thought this far ahead because we didn't think we'd get this far.
It
That's
also,
why
yeah,
the early seasons end. That's why there's nearly a character nearly always dies at the end of a series because they don't think they're going to get picked up again. They didn't, but
it
they
also
kept getting picked up.
it's also where it starts to kind of go off the rails completely because it's very obvious.
Yeah, you can.
Shit,
Yeah,
we're
it's you
sort
can
of
tell at this point they're like, fuck, we've actually used up everything that we had an idea for. Now we have to kind of continuously go back. Now, in saying that, like the show goes like, I mean, out of 15 seasons, you're gonna have a couple of stinkers. Let's like, it's not unheard of. It's the same thing with CSI. CSI ran for a significantly long amount
CSI
of
is just
time.
nothing but stinkers. And
No, but what I mean is,
it's a stinker
no,
that
my
spawns other stinkers. It's kind of like this
no, no,
fucking
no,
spore colony.
my just stop for a second. The
Oh,
reason why I
fucking
bring up that is
shit.
because with CSI, no, the reason with CSI is you could do a series of CSI, which technically should only ever be one series, because then literally everything has to be repeated over and over and over again. And with Supernatural, they used up every kind of mythology that they wanted to use up on, but then they kind of had to bring up different things on it. So, like an example with this would be, and it's obviously it is later series, but like they got rid of Lucifer, and it's like, okay, now what do we have to go on? And then it's basically like, someone get me a fucking Bible and we'll just open a page and see what we come up with. But like, I do like the fact that the mark of Cain was something that they brought into it, because Cain and Abel is,
Yeah, but
it fits the storyline of the brothers sort of thing. But
oh,
it would have been
absolutely.
better. It would have been better if it was used earlier to actually, and then build
It
up
would have been
to
better if
actually
it
doing
used
it.
better because they used the mark of Cain to just kind of go, oh well, this is something that has to be destroyed because we can't get. It's very obvious that towards the end of that series, the whole
They
mark
need
of Cain,
an.
they're
See, the
like,
thing is with this, everything has to be escalated.
yeah,
And it's because, okay, we went really big at the last series. Oh shit, we kind of have to go bigger now again. And with the Mark of Cain, the big thing that came out of that one was the darkness. Now, I didn't really like that series of it,
no.
but
The
the thing
Darkness
is,
was not a very good episode. Oh, The Darkness was
it
not a
was,
very good series.
but here's the thing is now with that, the idea that they have is clever though, in a sense, was that this is actually be the perfect way to end your series, your entire series, because you can literally have them fail and then just everything is gone. Like that would work to an end series. Now obviously it didn't go that way and it kind of pulled on again and again, they went on again. This what actually did take them out at the end, and this is what I want to get to. It was a season 14 episode. So Cass is dead again, right? He gets stabbed in the back by Lucifer. There's a rift that's still open. Michael is Mike. This is the apocalyptic world. So where Michael has gone absolutely batshit crazy, and they get everyone kind of comes out of the apocalyptic world, and Castiel comes out, and the rift is still open, and then he gets stabbed with the angel blade, and that's what kills him. And Jack is Jack. Yeah, Jack is back in this episode. So I think it's like the second episode into it, where Jack is like kind of praying to Castiel, and it wakes him up in the empty. Did any of you watch this series? I know, Neil, I think you fell out of it. Okay, you haven't so
I
grand.
heard stuff about it. I heard stuff about the empty. But
Okay.
Is this series 12, is it?
I can't remember if it was series 12. No, it wouldn't have been series 12. It would have been after. It would have been after. I'm nearly sure it's either series 13. I'm nearly sure it's series 14 because the episode is called The Big Empty, and it's kind of set halfway in the real world and then cast by himself in the empty. And this wakes up, and he literally just wakes up in pitch blackness, right? And the empty is it looks like an ooze, like a black ooze, like an oil looking thing, right? And Cass is basically awake, he's walking around, and it turns into Cass, and he puts on this really ridiculous voice, but at first you're like, this is so stupid, but then as you're listening to the character talk to himself. So it's basically the way like Demon Dean in like series 2, where he's having like, he's looking at himself in the mirror and he sees him as a demon, he's doing it that way. This is basically Cass's version of it. And he's like saying to him, he goes, this is where angels and demons go to die. They literally come here and you sleep, but you woke up. You are the nag that will not go to sleep. You're awake. And it's a real kind of like, why are you awake? Why aren't you dead? Sort of thing. So he ends up pissing off the entity, the empty,
So much that
the
takes them out.
that he kind of says, I will wreck your fucking head. I'm paraphrasing. I will fucking wreck your head. Send me back to Earth. And the end of the episode, Cass is back on Earth and he is alive again. And it's like, okay, grand, this is perfect. And they go back onto it. And I think the first episode back, they end up going to Tombstone. And the villain of the episode is a ghoul, which I love. And it's like Dave Mathers, who is like one of the Dodge City gang, and Dean is fucking chuffed to bits with this, and it's great.
But the one where he goes back and he's got all the clean clothes and they're all looking at him and like, why are you so clean?
No. No. That's a diff. That's when he's human and he has a shower. So this was kind of series 14, but like as this series progresses, this is where Castiel makes a deal with the Empty, because the Empty wants to take Jack to basically to nothingness, because Jack is half angel, so he should not be allowed into heaven because he is half angel. That's the more dominant basic gene set he has. So Cass makes a deal of like, when I die, you can take me and you can take me now, but I want to save Jack. So the Empty makes a deal with him. He says, when you finally allow yourself a moment of true happiness, that's when I will come to take you. So when you finally find your place in life, when you finally feel like you belong, when you're finally ready to let yourself accept everything and be happy, that's when I'm coming to kill you. And he agrees to it, and that's grand. So he doesn't say anything on it, which is fine. It's the norm for a Winchester or an angel not to tell that I've done something that I shouldn't have done. This brings in then to the end of season 15. So this is one of the only episodes of season 15 that I watched, which was episode 18, which is Despair. And there's a new Death because Dean killed the original actor who played Death. So we have a new female Death in the role. She's basically chasing Dean. Yeah, Billy. She's chasing Dean and Cass as they're in basically her worlds. They're in her world on this one. She's chasing the two of them. Sam and Jack are trying to save everyone else, but Chuck is wiping them out. He's literally going Thanos on people. He's just clicking his fingers and they turn into dust.
Exactly.
So he's like, they literally only leave. Like, this is Chuck's basically way of saying, goes, you did not go the way I wanted you to go, so I'm literally killing off every universe, and this is how I'm going to do it. So he's like snapping his finger. Like, it's literally like they're just disappearing. So Bobby disappears, Charlie disappears. Well, they're not meant to be there anyway. Like, don't forget as well, they're already meant to be dead. So if their alternate universe is gone, they're going to be gone in the new one. So it's left with just the 4 characters, and then this is the moment where Castiel he basically tells Dean, I made a deal to save Jack's life. And he explains to him that, like, you're the reason why I'm happy. And he finally admits that he loves him. And then he shoves him back, and the Empty comes, and it takes Castiel, and that kills him. And it takes Death as well with him, and that's her gone. And it's that moment where you're kind of like, oh, it finally happened. He finally admitted what we've all known since season 5. He's finally admitted it. But it's not going to go anywhere else. Like, Dean doesn't get to tell him anything back. He's gone before Dean can process anything on it.
There's always the wind test.
No, but like, Dean Steele is the one that we all wanted. But like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm so fucking happy that he finally not even that he admitted it, but they finally fucking did it. Like, they actually, he had that moment. And Misha, the way Misha Collins portrays the character, And like you can see it in his face. So this is the thing I was saying earlier on before we were recording, that you knew for a fact that this is an actor saying goodbye to his character that he's played for 11 years, and he's saying goodbye to an actor or to someone who is like one of his best friends, and you know that they're not going to be back next year and to do this again. And it is so, and even how the monologue that he gives her, it's so beautifully done, and so it's so lovely done. And I burst out crying. I was like, oh my god, I'm fucking
Sounds like they
raging, like
actually
he's
put a bit of
gone. And I
thought to
knew.
season 15. I might actually go back and.
But here's the thing is, these are the only episodes I recommend. But like the shit thing about it is, you kind of have to make sure you watch. Then make sure you watch the preview as to what happened before, just to kind of keep you up to speed on it. And then they do it, and then when it comes on to the very last episode, and if you haven't watched it, fucking spoilers, because I know none of these have, but I've already spoiled it for them. But when Dean comes to his point where he's about to die and he gives his speech, like, honest to God, like, it broke me, because I'm like, these are the two characters that I remember from season one. These are the two boys that really don't know what, like, they know what they're doing, but they're also not 100% sure if they're actually doing the right thing, because they're just on a normal hunt. This is like Dean's character, or Jensen's character. He's very much like, he loves the cowboys. And he makes a reference to the movie Tombstone. He's like,
My
he's
favorite.
talking to Caspin like, I love that movie. But he says it to Cass when they're in the episode in Tombstone. He goes, act like you're in Tombstone. He's like, the city. He goes, no, the movie I made you watch. And Cass does the excellent delivery of the line, I'll be a huckleberry. And I'm just like, yes, you are his huckleberry. Yes, you are. And like, but it's amazing. It's like, you know that these are the two characters from like the first series. They go out, and it's like Dean literally goes out like a cowboy. He dies with his boots on. Like, he dies saving people. He dies on a mission, on a hunt. And it's just, and the speech that he gives, it's perfect. And I cried for 20 minutes. And it wasn't even like, oh, tears. No, this was full on ugly crying. I had to pause the episode. I had to pause the episode, and like, I curled up on the bed, and I grabbed my Duffy teddy bear, and I was just like, and then it got silent.
In your door, it's like, are you okay?
Are you okay?
No.
And I was like, okay. And then I was like, so like the time has passed, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to continue watching the episode. And then I realized I paused it at the worst possible time, because I still had to watch the last moment where Dean's head just falls. And then I was like, oh God, he's actually dead. And it went again. And then obviously the rest of the episode plays out, and then you find, and Dean is finally in heaven. And it's like, in my head, I'm like thinking, carry on my way, there'll be peace where I'm gone again. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's one of those things like Game of Thrones had the option of doing the ending that everybody wanted, and they didn't. And I'll say this as well, Supernatural had the option of doing the ending that everybody wanted, but they didn't. It's not a happy ending. It's not a sad ending. It's
But
an
it's the
ending.
ending that the characters deserved.
See, this the thing is as well, it's because you're kind of thinking, if Dean was ever to die, how do you want him to die? You want him to die doing what he does best. You want him to die on a hunt, because it's a natural way.
He's not gonna be one to have a family and die old. He'd be going out.
Exactly. He's gonna go out on a hunt. He's gonna go out the way a hunter would, and he does. And you're like, that's the perfect ending for Dean, because that's what it needs to. And then when Sam has his ending, he's able to have the son, he's able to live his life, and he dies old. And realistically, had Dean never gone to his apartment in episode 1, that is exactly how Sam's life would have been, and that's exactly how Dean's life would have been. So it comes full circle. It's been like, we end how we perceive to go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it's like, to me, exactly. It's like, to me, like, I think it is kind of like the perfect ending. I would have loved to have been able to see Casto in Dean's heaven, like just chilling on the Impala, but like, all right. I suppose that was too far even for them to do. Like, it would have been, but
Afterwards, did he just die?
he was gone. Yeah. So Cass actually, so The way it's explained is the empty is literally a place for angels and demons to go when they die, because it's pure nothingness. They literally just go to
They're
sleep, and
resting.
that is it. Exactly, that's for the end of it. But so what the way so Jack, obviously Jack takes out Chuck, and he decides, I'm going to fix heaven, and he goes and he fixes heaven, and he actually he gets Cass out of the empty and brings him to heaven. So Cass kind of helps him put heaven back together again, the way it should have been always, which is everyone just like literally they're not reliving their
Living
golden memories,
eternity.
or their yeah, they can actually be together, like, and just be together now. Like, this is finally the way it should have been.
Not
But
memory,
Cass,
literally
yeah,
like
it's not memories. It's literally just like we are finally all together again, and now we can just we can be together now for all eternity, like, sort of thing. And see, Cass is mentioned in the episode because Bobby's the one that meets Dean first. He doesn't meet anyone. He meets Bobby outside the Harvell's Roadhouse, the bar from season 3 or 4, season 3. Um, and he basically says, he's like, yeah, Jack did all this with the help of Cass. And Dean's kind of like, oh, Cass is here. Like, he doesn't say it, but he's like, oh, Cass is here. But it's like, yeah, you don't see him, but you do know that he has been saved from the empty, and he is actually in heaven as well. So like, if like, look at it this way, for fan girls to continue on, they know for a fact that Dean and Cass are together for all eternity. That's how I view it.
Yeah.
We had yeah. So like, to me it is, I think I think it is actually quite a perfect ending how it ends, and it does end with Sam and Dean back together again, obviously, because
Yeah.
Sam has died as well. And I love it as an ending. I think it works really,
I
really
love that
well.
too, because the thing is, for me, I loved Sam so much, especially in the early seasons as a character, and he was like, why is making him become evil? Why are you doing this? Like, leave him, and
It
then
made me hate him.
it did make me hate him, because the thing is,
Yeah.
well, I watched the highlights of the later series, as I said, and one of the highlights shows Chuck as, obviously, as God, looking through a highlight reel of all of their possible deaths that could occur. And
Yeah.
one of them is a much later version of Sam as Lucifer, when he's still reign. His reign of terror is still going on. And it's
Yeah.
all of Dean's friends. And Dean comes up and tries to do a gunshot to the back of Sam's head. And then his head lolls like this. He just sits up, stands up, and just kills Dean.
Yeah, it just snaps his neck, and you're just like,
His neck, and I'm like, why? Why?
there's
No, but why?
there's one episode, actually, there's a character, she's one of the angels, Naomi.
Oh
And
yeah,
she has Castiel kill Dean 1,000 times. And when the scene pans out, there's just as the camera pans out, there's just all these dead Deans. I was like, fuck this bitch. I don't like this character. I was like, and that's how I realized how broken I was as a viewer. I'm like, oh my God, this person who I've seen kill an innocent child as he begged for his life in one episode, he literally murders a child. And I'm just like, yeah, there's actually nothing that you can do that will make me hate Dean Winchester. They had him, like, when Michael possesses his, I think it's season 13. Michael possesses him and
yeah.
like takes over as the vessel, and he has him like dressed up as a fucking Peaky Blinder. Just like,
I know. I was like,
yeah, in my head, I'm like thinking,
why is he wearing a paddy
um,
cap?
yeah. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, what the fuck is going? No, I'm okay with this. Straight away, I was like, oh, you're broken. You are a broken person if you're okay with this. Like, it just,
What I loved about that is, like, you see Dean walking down the street, in his swagger, with his coat on, his paddy cap on, and then his eyes just flash.
yeah, they just shine. You're just like,
He's
I'm okay with this.
he's an angel. Okay.
All right, I'm okay with this. You work that vessel.
What I told you as well, I remember, I'm going back earlier seasons. I think it's season 6, or I can't remember, or it could be season 5, when Castiel and Dean come across Raphael, the archangel, and he's like, today, Castiel's like, today you're my little bitch. And then he's like, and then Dean's like, what he said.
It's like, it's a real thing.
Right, Neil.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Neil has to go. It's actually just thinking about. Actually, I'm just looking at the time. It is probably time. I think that we wrap this up because I didn't actually think we'd be able to talk about episodes like that. But it's one of those things. It's like it's when you start remembering the episode, you're like, fuck. Actually,
Pop
Can't help
into your head.
it. Like,
I do. For people who are if people who've watched this who've never actually seen Supernatural before, I know I'll admit it. It jumps the shark a fair bit. It does lose its way. It gets very frustrating.
it
But I
gets stupid as well. But look,
yeah, it gets stupid. But I still highly recommend people to watch it because it's one of these things. Like even if you stop after, if you watch it and up to season 5, you will get an excellent story arc that is very nicely packaged. And you can kind of end it there and you'll be happy, or else you can like be a glutton for punishment and you can keep going. Because this the thing is, I know that we hated like certain series on it, but there's a lot of other people that actually adored like the series with the darkness. They actually adored the character of Amara. So like to each their own. Like everyone has like different tastes on it, but I highly recommend hitting up Supernatural and going on that journey with the boys and crying with the boys, and then crying to yourself and then crying yourself to sleep because you watched the last episode and you weren't ready for it.
They're still not ready
this is
for
the
it.
thing. As much as I love this series, I am probably one of the only fangirls of the series that hasn't cried. No cried.
You know what? Actually, I'm actually realizing something. The two scenes that for the season 15 ones, which is Castiel's death and Dean's death, you can actually watch them on YouTube. People have those particular 5-minute clips on YouTube. I highly recommend you watch them just to hear the monologues that they give on it, because I think they're just so sweet. And then like you might not cry yourself, but I guarantee you'll understand why I cried like a little bitch.
But this is what I'm saying. At the same time, I've cried at other things, and it's like it's very rare for me to cry. So when I do, people to be like, "Whoa," because I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's when something hits you so like emotionally, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, like look, it's heavily recommended. Like what Amy said, like seasons 1 to 5, you'll get a full on story. But if you are like willing to trudge through, then by all means, finish the whole series.
Yes, the thing is, like you don't have to worry about trying to catch up on something before another one comes up. It's done and dusted. There is 15 seasons. They estimate an average 23 episodes per season. You're looking at 327 episodes in total. You can literally watch one episode a day. You're in lockdown. What else are you gonna fucking do? Take up scrapbooking? Highly recommend that too. But yeah. So we'll sign off on this episode. So this episode of the box set, which is hosted, moderated by me. Actually, this is just a discussion. I fucking loved it. So join us again on the Nerds Zeros channel. You can like, subscribe, follow. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, and you can also find the Foxy Bros store as well. You can see some of the stock that they have in the background there. Have a look, have a buy, get onto the Pearl Beats. They're awesome, as you can tell from the two that I have in the background at the moment. You can't see my Ken and Ryu because they're currently guarding my DVD collection that I no longer have a DVD player for. They're like, as soon as I walked down the attic stairs, that's where Ken and Ryu were there, and they're literally like facing each other. I love it. So as I walk down, I see them every morning. But yeah, so like, subscribe. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you the next time, which, as I said, bi-monthly. If Jonathan will let me away with it. And we'll see you again. No, I don't think so. Bye bye.
Yeah.